Hi everyone, welcome to your Friday afternoon surprise snack, just in time for Mother's Day. So wishing you all a wonderful Mother's Day weekend. So let's get started. So especially if you've been doing lots of walking or bike riding, I know a friend took me up a few hills today, yes. So it's good to roll those buttocks and those IT bands on the roller. So that will help to relieve any discomfort that you may have. And good for the knees and good for the hips. Okay, we won't start off with stretching. We're actually going to start off with a little bit of that jumping, that pounding through the bones, which is good for osteoporosis. That will warm you up a little bit. And we will do some rolling to loosen those muscles and just a few stretches at the end. One stretch, though, we will do is the pec stretch, because we will be lying on the roll, and that helps to open up through your chest. So we will just stretch that and then do some jumping. So remember, with your pec stretch, your elbow is a little higher than the shoulder and back behind your torso. Try to keep that forearm front. So turn your feet towards the center of the room and leaning forwards until that stretch comes through into the front of the chest. And looking forwards, not pulling round with your neck. Remember to maintain your pelvic tilt and don't overstretch, just work within your limits. Nice deep breaths, so consciously relaxing those stretch muscles. Turn the feet towards the wall before easing out of that and over onto the other side, being careful to keep that forearm upright, feet to the center and leaning forwards into that stretch. Be careful not to hunch your shoulders, relax those shoulders down. Turn the feet towards the wall and relax that arm off the wall. All right, so with your jumping, so you can always hold onto a chair if you feel a little bit unsteady. Just move that down just a touch. Okay, so you can either make sure that you're landing on the balls of the feet and rolling through the feet to take yourself down. So you can either do that, or if you prefer, you can do that, just some high marching. Or if you want to get a little bit more exotic, jump side to side and try to jump higher so that you are actually pounding through those bones. So it's like imitating skipping. Make sure that you land on the ball of the foot and roll down through the foot. Come on, fail a little bit higher. And easing out of that. So make sure that you snack on that pounding throughout the week. So even if you're doing 20 jumps a day, try and get a little bit higher, get that pounding through the bones. Good for osteoporosis. All right, we're going to take it down to the roller. And nothing like starting off with a, yes, you guessed it, a hover. Hover on the roller, what fun. You have got options. Okay, so feel free, if you don't have a roller or don't want to use your roller, to just do your normal hover. And otherwise, so it's all in whichever one you're doing. It's in that tuck with the pelvis and keeping your hips at shoulder height. All right. So if you are going to use the roller, we're going to do 2 1-minute hovers. Our first one is going to be with the hands on the roller. Just get that watch strategically placed. Okay, wrist directly and underneath your shoulder. You'll tuck the toes and end up in a nice straight line. Spread your fingers nice and wide. All right, so I am counting already. So make sure you tuck under with the tailbone. Neck in line with the rest of the spine. Squeeze your core, that corset, around your center. Keep your elbows soft. Make sure you're tucking under with that tailbone. Squeeze your core. Now concentrate on your breathing. Breathe in for a count of 4. Slow breath out for a count of 6. Breathing all the air out, squeezing the core, as well as engaging through the pelvic floor. Now for your last 15 seconds, try to have a little roll. So you can see I'm pushing with my feet and having a little roll. Have a little roll. Release it gently. Give those wrists a little shake. It's a little harsh through those wrists. All right. So just like going backwards and forwards, I'm hoping you did feel those abdominals working a little more strongly. Okay, we've got another hover. We're going to put the roller on the feet. Yes. Good. So we've got two different ways of doing this. You can either have, so first of all, get into your hover position. Check that your hips are shoulder height. And then, so you can be on a flat foot like that. It is more challenging if you go up onto your toes, like that. All right. I'm going to start on the toes. Let's see how we go. So, I'm already timing you. Lift it up and hold it there. Tuck under with the tailbone and squeeze your core. That core sit around your center. No hunching with the shoulders. Shoulder blades pressed down towards the hips. Neck in line with the rest of the spine. Looking down between your hands. Are you feeling it in your back? If you're feeling it in your back, check that your hips are shoulder height and tuck under a little more. Squeeze your core, remembering to also engage through that pelvic floor. I'm going to have my feet flat now, and we're going to, yes, you guessed it, have a little roll. Have a little roll, small little roll, backwards and forwards. Oh yes, that makes it a little more interesting, doesn't it? Come on, Era, keep going. Release it gently, and you've earned your rest position. I'm going to pop my hands up onto the roller so that I get my stretching through the shoulders as well. So hands on the roller, knees out wide, and sink your chest down. Try to get your forehead onto the floor if you can. So get that stretching through the shoulders and in through the lower back. And easing out of that. All right. It wouldn't be a roller without a little bit of balance work. So we're also going to loosen up through those shoulders, which is why we will first of all roll the upper back. So sore neck and shoulders, we tend to be like that, chin poking and round shoulders. We want to open up through the chest, so open up through those pec muscles and work into through the upper back. Chin tucked in, head balancing on the top of the neck. So now we want to open up through the chest. So take a seat on your roller and lie yourself down. If you don't have a roller, just lie on the floor with bent knees. So you're right on the edge of your roller and take yourself down. Make sure that your head is properly on the roller. Just lift up, lengthen into your lower back. You should have your natural curve. Okay. And we're going to start with angel wings. So if you have sore shoulders, your aim is to keep your fingertips on the floor. You might just end up nudging into that. If you need to, you can lift the arm off the floor to complete your circle. But watch out for what happens in your back. Don't start to go into a sway in that lower back. So be aware of keeping the tailbone down and squeezing your core. Tuck your chin in, look forwards at a 45-degree angle. So angel wings on the roller without arching away from that roller. So you will still have your natural curve into the lower back, but be aware of that upper back hump wants to arch off the roller. Keep your chin tucked in so that you're lengthening through the crown of the head. So if it is tight, just nudge, nudge, nudge into that. So good firm stretch into the pec and coming down through the arm. So always working within your limits. But if you do it on the floor, then on the roller, and then go back to the floor, you will notice you've loosened up and it's a lot easier the second time round on the floor. So just nudging into that, but be aware of that rib cage. Don't let it dome out. Keep it flattened and keep that middle of the back on the roller. All right, good. So you can do more of that in your own time. And now I've got my hand weights. It's easier when you're lying down, but your balance will be challenged. So I've got a 1.5 kg. You can do 1.5, 2 kgs. Try and get your feet so that they are about a fist width apart and tuck your chin in. Shoulder blades are pressed down to the hips, elbows are soft. Do one at a time. So you will notice as you do one at a time, it's taking you off balance and that you have to squeeze your core. So aim to keep your pelvis stable. Try to not let your pelvis rock from side to side. Do not allow your knees to touch. That's called cheating, Kim. Keep your chin tucked in. Now, once again, if you do have a sore neck, you can have a towel in underneath your neck to keep that chin tucked in position if you're tightened through your neck. You just got the towel on top of the roller. All right, so one more each side, keeping that pelvis nice and stable. Squeezing from the inner thighs, but don't let your knees touch. All right, now one up, one down. Don't quite touch the floor. Keep your chin tucked in, both to the center. One up, one down. Be aware of what is happening in your upper back. Don't let it arch away from that roller. So still maintaining your curve into the lower back. Now concentrate on your breathing. Breathe out to lower as you flatten through the ribcage, flatten the abdominals, and a deep breath in to raise. So be careful that you're not doming out into that ribcage. Keep that ribcage flattened. Breathe out to lower. That will help you to keep the ribcage flattened. Deep breath in to raise. When you raise that arm up, initiate the movement from the shoulder, press the shoulder blade down towards the hips so that you don't end up coming back like that. Keep those shoulders away from the ears. Now, can you get those feet a little closer together, but don't let them touch. Breathe out to lower and a deep breath in to raise. Squeezing the core and engaging through the pelvic floor for your stability. Breathing out to lower, deep breath in to raise. One more each side, and now large circles. So now my palms are facing away from me, and now as I circle around, the palms face up towards the ceiling. Breathe in to lift and breathing out to circle. Being aware of your natural curves, don't allow that upper back to start to arch away from that roller as you circle around. So notice how those lower abdominals have to work to keep your pelvis stable and so that you don't start that arching into the upper back. Now reverse it, palms facing up and then palms facing away from you. Breathe in and breathing out. Deep breath in and breathing out. Be careful to keep your chin tucked in and being aware of those natural curves. Feet are as close together as they can be where you are not touching. All right, now squeeze your weights together. Once again, don't allow yourself to arch into that upper back as you take the arms overhead. Now initiate from the shoulder joint. Press the shoulder blades down towards the hips, hands end up above your shoulders. If those shoulders are sore, you may not end up going quite so low, but don't bend to lower the arms. Keep your arms straight, but elbows soft. Flatten through the rib cage and raise. So you're breathing out to lower and a deep breath in as you lift. Taking as long to lower as you do to raise. Be aware of your tripod foot position and you are squeezing in from your inner thighs, but don't allow those knees to touch. All right, and one more. After all, it is a mini snap. Now, a nice stretch for those pec muscles is to hold onto your weights. Now, it's like a W position, so my elbows are down and my hands are more or less in line with the shoulders. And we try to make sure that W is not too wide, and you try to let gravity take its toll and try to get those hands down towards the floor. So mine are gradually going down. Nice and open through your chest. Once again, gentle pinch between your shoulder blades and breathe through that, feeling that stretching through the pits. So if you've got a sore shoulder, just be mindful of that and work within your limits, only going as low as you comfortably can. Getting that external rotation at your shoulders and that firm stretch through the pits. Then. Careful as you come up and out of this. And relax. And just try those angel wings once more now that you've loosened up through those shoulders a little. And see if those angel wings are a little bit looser. So if you've been working on the computer a lot, these ones are great ones to do. And when you we'll do a little bit more balancing. Fingertips on the floor and lift your left leg up into tabletop. Squeeze your core. And if you can, lift both hands off the floor. If you can, raise them up to the ceiling and have a little open and close. Don't be in a hurry. Squeeze your core, pinch through the buttocks. Oh, I'm getting wobbly. What's happening? Take it down and swap sides. So in tabletop, arms lifting off the floor. This is my hardest side, definitely. So we do often have those muscle imbalances, and you do have a harder side. So feel free at any time to go back to that more challenging side. Oh, there you go. That goes to prove that harder side. So you need to squeeze the core and pinch through the buttocks. And release it down. Coming off your roller, so to come off that roller, just take a tumble and stretch the legs out straight. Okay, and now we're going to have a nice little. Before we roll on the roller, just some back extensions using that roller. Be really careful not to hunch your shoulders with this one. So lying over on your stomach and your feet are shoulder distance apart, and start with the roller on your forearm there. Keep your hips on the floor, shoulders down, and bring yourself up. Keep those hips on the floor, elbows are soft, and get that arching into your lower back. So if your back is tight, you'll notice you don't go up quite so high. But don't allow those shoulders to be up near the ears. Keep those shoulders down. Take yourself down. Now watch for the change. You're going to reach forward. So your shoulders are up around the ears. Now draw shoulder blades into pocket and a deep breath in to lift. Shoulders are down. Take yourself down. Now do that forwards reach. Reaching shoulders to the ears. Draw shoulder blades into pocket and lift it up. Shoulders away from the ears. Squeeze your core. Take it down. Reach shoulders to the ears. Draw shoulder blades into pocket. Breathe in to lift. And breathing out to low. Deep breath in to hunch. Breathe out to draw in. Breathe in to raise. And breathing out to low. Breathe in to reach. Breathe out, shoulder blades to pocket. Breathe in to lift as high as you can. Shoulders down, no hunching. Breathing out to low. One more. Breathe in to reach. Breathing out, shoulder blades to pocket. Breathe in to reach. Bend your elbows. Bring those elbows. Bring that in a little closer. Tuck your elbows in. And get those triceps working. Shoulders away from the ears. Elbows are in underneath your shoulders. Hold it there. Draw the tummy up away from the floor. Release it gently. And coming back into rest position. Once again, I'm putting my hands on the roller. It just gives you that nice stretching through your shoulders. And as you breathe, relax your forehead down to the floor. Keep pressing buttocks to heels and flatten your spine. Good. Okay. It's time for a roll. Now, if you don't have a roller, you can simply use your fist and give yourself a nice massage along that outside of the leg. Alternatively, if you do have a tennis ball or a spiky ball, just be careful not to damage your wall, but you can, I'm just going to show you, because you won't be able to see what I'm doing on the wall, but you can pop the ball there and just move sideways. So you're moving your body like that, take the ball down, move the body like that, so that you're massaging in different spots. Keep moving that ball until you've got that massaging through that whole IT band. If you do have a roller, have fun with your roller. So this one's really good to prevent getting those sore hips and sore knees. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes and it's much less painful. Start with that roller along mid-thigh. It's easier if you're on your elbow, more challenging if you're on your hand. Easier if you have that leg forward. So this is your easier position. Keep nicely vertically stacked. Be careful you're not rolling over backwards. So our tendency is to look to make it easier. So just be careful that you're properly vertically stacked. So more of a challenge onto the hand and have those feet vertically stacked all the way to the knee and all the way to your hip. And look for those sore spots. So have a little roll close to that knee. Keep nicely vertically stacked. Squeeze your core. And for some of you, it might be that painful areas a little closer to the hip. Keep the knees straight. So the leg you're rolling is straight and nicely vertically stacked. Now just do a little quarter turn. So you're getting into just the part of that front of the thigh. Nice and close in towards your hip joint. So getting close to that front of the hip and giving those thighs more on the outer edge of that thigh. A little roll. Look for those sore spots. And have a little roll. And you're over onto the other side. So especially if you've done lots of walking or bike riding, or have sore knees or sore hips, snack on this one daily. So over on the side, make sure that you're properly vertically stacked. So if it is not very painful, you may not be properly vertically stacked. This one is painful. The more you do it, the less painful it gets as that IT band loosens up. Make sure you are going all the way to the hip. Look for those sore spots. Sometimes that sore spot is midway, sometimes it's closer to the knee. So make sure you do roll all through that length, and if you do find that sore spot, have a little rock and roll. Okay, then that quarter turn and get into the thigh. Go nice and close to your hip as well. So close to the front of that hip. Squeeze your core, so no bananas. It's like your hover. Make sure that you're not swaying into your lower back. So you shouldn't have any discomfort into that lower back as you're doing this. And easing out of that. And a nice little roll into your upper back. So the roller is between your shoulder blades. Tuck your elbows in. Now your back is curved like that. Tuck with the pelvis, squeeze your core. Tuck your elbows in. Looking forwards. Roll like a rolling pin, nice and slowly along the length of your spine. Don't worry if there's a little bit of creaking and cracking, as long as it's not associated with pain. That's all good. Take it as low as you comfortably can into that lower back. If it's too sore, don't go too low. Just once again, work within your limits. Tucking with the pelvis. Keep the back curved. Tuck those elbows in. Now, when the roller is around brow line, relax the buttocks onto the floor. Mold your back around the floor. If you can, let your head go. If you're not comfortable doing that, keep a hold of the head. And you can stretch the legs out and try to get your head resting on the floor if possible. Nice deep breaths, just trying to relax as you open up through that chest and mobilize into the upper back. Use the hands to lift the head and go either up or down. I'm going to go down one, so just into a different spot in the back. If it's really very painful, just avoid that spot and go to a different one. And mold yourself around that roller. Breathe, don't hold your breath. going to go to a third spot. Oh, yes, getting caught up there. And mold yourself around. Reaching the hands down towards the floor. If those shoulders are too sore, you can have them just relax them a little bit more. Easing out of that, clasp your head once again, lifting up and just roll a couple more times. Now, this top is not a good one. I'm getting caught up. All right. And I'm going to finish with rolling on your tennis ball or on your spiky ball. Now, once again, you can do that against the wall. Now, the important thing is where you work into that buttock. Rest your mat, so make sure that you get your mat out the way. So make sure it's right into the center of the buttock, and then look for sore spots into that upper buttock, lower back area. Right into the center of that buttock. So I'm placing it underneath the right buttock. I'm flopping the right knee out. That left leg is up and over. And I'm moving around. Relax the buttock muscles. So I can put more pressure through the hands and more pressure through that leg to lift myself up if it's too painful. But it's more effective if you relax into that ball. So working into that, lean back a little bit. You can even go into your elbow. Work into that upper buttock, lower back. Looking for those sore spots. You can even go on either side of the spine there. And other side. So it can be done with a tennis ball or in underneath the buttock. Flop that knee. And make sure you're not hunching with your shoulders. Squeeze your core. Relax your buttocks. For those sore spots. And we can lean back and give it a roll out. You can also roll on the outside of the hip if you have got a sore hip. If it's too sore, just avoid the really sore spot and go slightly lower. And easing out of that, we'll give the neck a nice stretch. So sitting cross-legged or legs like that. Turning to look over your shoulder and over the other side. Now drop your head right back, chin right up to the ceiling. Chin to chest. Ear to shoulder, gentle pull, press down through the opposite hand. Gently, slowly release to the other side. Clasp your hands, pinch your shoulder blades open through the chest. And release, hunch right up and relax. And circle it out. And have a little alternate. So walk tall and enjoy your Mother's Day weekend. Well done.